Hello YouTube friends, it's Dale from Whatever the Weather May Be. As you can see, it's a cloudy day here, hoping to get some rain. Sooner the better. This video isn't really about the garden, although look at it, isn't it doing great? This video is about an anniversary that's coming up for me. "13 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And every year around this time, my mind sort of wanders back over the past 13 years, but mostly to the beginning of my cancer journey. And I sort of go through things in my mind, just remember the time that it was, not to dwell on it, but just to keep it in my current memory stash so that I don't ever forget how very lucky I am to be here. So 13 years ago, I had turned 50. I was working full-time in the hospital, and my husband and my son and I were just getting ready to take a trip up to the Yukon to visit my brother and his family. And we were actually thinking about moving up there, so it was a little bit more than just a visiting trip. We were going to look at properties and kind of see if it was something that we wanted to do. Just before we went, I had had my annual checkup, and my doctor sent me for a screening mammogram, because here in Canada, or in Manitoba anyway, if you have had no prior breast disease of any kind and no problems, at 50 you are encouraged to go for a screening mammogram. So I went for my screening mammogram, and then we went on our vacation. And when I came home from the Yukon, there was a message on the answering service saying that I needed to have a diagnostic mammogram as soon as possible. So I went and had that done, and it didn't show a lump or anything. It just showed a shadow, a different, sort of a troublesome shadow. That's how it was explained to me. And the diagnostic mammogram wasn't really as good as they wanted it to be, so I had to go for a second one. After that, I went back to see my doctor, and he said that the second diagnostic mammogram had shown that there was a tumor, and that he was referring me to see a surgeon. So I went to see a surgeon, and he had Gary and I in the office with him for over an hour, explaining everything that there is to know about breast cancer and the treatments. And he gave me all kinds of options without knowing, exactly what it was or where it was or whatever. But the first thing that he wanted me to have before anything was the biopsies, or a biopsy. And that was okay. I waited for 2 months actually to have my biopsy, and that was very difficult to know that there's something wrong, but not know how wrong. When I had my biopsy done, being a nurse, I realized that when 12 biopsies are taken of one breast, that there's something really wrong. And I thought that it was a little over the top. So, sure enough, when the results came in, it was early stage 2 cancer. And the tumor was very, very deep. And that's why nobody had been able to detect it on examination. I did not detect it. The doctor didn't feel it, but the mammogram picked it up. So, in my case, a screening mammogram saved my life. So I was booked for surgery, and my surgeon suggested that we just go with a lumpectomy. And we did that. And 2 weeks after I had my lumpectomy, I was back in the surgeon's office for the results of the tissue that he removed. And I was told that they didn't get it all. There was still cancer cells left there. So he suggested I have a bigger lumpectomy. But by this time, the first one had left a big hole in my breast, and I couldn't imagine going deeper and the bigger hole. So I wanted to have the mastectomy. It was my choice to have it. So he scheduled me for a mastectomy, and I ended up having 2 months. All this took about 2 months later down the road. I ended up having a mastectomy, a total mastectomy, with a radical with removal of my lymph nodes in my arm and my axilla. And then I began treatment. And there's nothing spectacular about this story. It's the same story that anybody who is diagnosed with breast cancer goes through. But I survived, and 13 years later, here I am. The odds of surviving breast cancer are far better than they've ever been. And actually that goes for a lot of cancers as well. I remember when I was just learning in nurses training, that was in the 70s. If a woman contracted breast cancer, she never made it. Very, very few women survived it. Now, more and more are surviving. Right after I had seen the surgeon for the very first time, I wrote a poem. And I've been writing poetry pretty much all my life, and I usually write about something or someone, an event, or a person. And my poems are usually written when I'm very sad or very happy. So I thought I would share my poem with you today. Not as a method of gathering sympathy or tooting my own horn. I'm just thinking that it's always good to share these things with others. You don't know who may be listening, who may be going through this very same thing at this very moment. And just hearing me talk about it in a calm way might help somebody. It might give them exactly what they needed to hear today. So, I'm going to read you my poem. It's called Perennially Pink. 'Twas a hot July day when first we met. through circumstances I'll never forget. I the seeker, he the sought, to save my life, or so I thought. The office crowded with such as me, I ventured forth at 5 to 3. Mind aflutter, I took a seat, controlling tears that weren't discreet. Nerves kicked in, my breath drew short. I'd never been a panicked sort, but this was wrought with pain and fear, this very thing that brought me here. A lengthy wait for one and all, then certain dread when name was called. 2 steps, 3 steps, 10 or more. Then have a seat, I'll close the door. First impressions seldom fade, especially when so gently made. Soft, warm eyes, a caring smile, advised that I'd be here a while. Biopsy passed, breast cancer cells. Percent involved, no one can tell. Surgery certain, more treatment too, as much as needed. Okay with you? Feeling sick, heads buzzing some. Husband's crying, I'm feeling numb. Swallow the lump that quickly has gathered. Focus on thoughts that suddenly matter. Death is first on my list of fears, then leaving my son of tender years. Don't want to go, not ready yet. So much of life I've yet to get. Plans are made, operations booked. A week today, well, I'll be hooked. No wait indeed, no none at all, and here I thought I'd wait till fall. First cut's not quite deep enough. This demon seems to be so tough. Return again, this time it's fall. And now this time, they take it all. Awake my eyes, awake and see this brand new view of who I'll be. One breast gone, the other there. Is this much more than I can bear? Not so, I cry, not so at all. Pity and grief are so appall. Make of life the most, I say. Don't you waste one single day. Take your burdens, throw them aft. Cling to life as though a raft. Make it yours, and make it strong. Ride it hard and ride it long. Fast forward now 2 years or more. Am I cured? Not known for sure. Time will tell what lies ahead, no matter if I fear or dread. This is me, it's who I am, a pebble in the Master's plan. Happy I, and grateful too, for all the folks that helped me through. Life goes on, it always does. I can't go back to what it was, but I am here, and here I'll stay until my Lord takes me away. Don't fear cancer. Fight it. Fight it with all that you have. Don't quit. Don't give up. Fight. It can be beaten, and it is being beaten. trust in yourself, trust in your care team. Embrace yourself with people who are supportive, who love you, who are there for you, who don't mind a phone call in the middle of the night just because you want to cry or get mad or rant. Surround yourself with loving friends and family. And be strong and be positive and fight. Cancer strikes so many people. And it doesn't matter your age, your status in society, your education. It's not that discriminating. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes you can come out on the other side and be a totally different person than you were going into it. I am. I'm not the same person that I was 13 years ago. 13 years ago, I was caught up in the business of life, just like everybody else is. But all that stuff doesn't matter to me anymore. All that matters to me is the love of my family and my friends. I want to live a good life. I want to be happy. I want to be kind. I want to be strong. I don't want stress. And I try not to have stress. I make it a point of walking away from things that do stress me. I choose this over working full time. I could have worked a lot longer. I'm still young. I'm not even 65 yet. I'm only 63. And I've been retired since 59. I could have worked more years, made more money. But it might have led me back down that road that I don't want to go. So I do this. And I live like this. So if anybody's out there who's managed to listen to this to the very end, and if you're struggling with cancer or any other medical condition that requires a major fight, know that you're not alone. There's many, many people out there just like you. And be positive. Bless you all.